We begin with the federal government saying Nigerians can now expect their passport within 1 week of enrollment following sweeping reforms to the country's processing system. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo made the announcement at a performance retreat in Abuja, stressing that long-standing backlogs and corrupt practices have been eliminated. A new centralized personalization center, described as the largest in Africa, will speed up production and enhance document security. Officials also revealed that passport control officers will no longer approve applications, a move aimed at ending widespread extortion. So joining us now is Dotun Ojon, a public affairs analyst, who will be sharing his thoughts with us on this. Dotun, it's nice to have you around on the news.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, in defense, the federal government says the upward review of passport fee is to sustain its quality, curb corruption, and improve delivery efficiency. What do you think?
Okay, I think as a nation, we are on a progressive march towards efficiency and excellence. But again, we must caution ourselves not to put the burden of the excellence that we are aiming at on the people to a point where they get choked and killed. The increase that we are having presently, if you compare it realistically with the inflation that we've had in the last 1-2 years, you will agree with me that the increase may be necessary. That is for the quality of the passport that we have always wished for. And I will tell my own very sad story about a few years ago that I tried to get passport because I needed it so urgently. The truth is that I had to pay more, even more than the 100,000 that people are talking about today. I had to pay more because I was actually in a hurry to get it. So, and this money at the end, or call it monies, at the end of the day, will not get into the pocket of the officials. So it gets into the pocket of government. I mean, it gets into the pocket of the officials of government in forms of one corruption or the other. But if we are saying that once people pay 50,000 or 100,000 or 200, as the case may be, that they will get the passport, I think it's the right direction. I will only caution government because a lot of people are actually reacting negatively to this because of the fact that it's a volatile economy already. People are finding it very difficult to feed already. When they get to the marketplaces, things have become extremely expensive already. And I think they think that this may not be necessary at the moment. But it does not stop the fact that if this will cut off the corruption that people encounter in the process of getting their passport, if this will cut off the unnecessary delay that people are subjected to, then I think it's not too bad for us to have it at this point in time.
So basically, this would mean that if the passport control officers had not been in some way creating some sort of bureaucracy in securing these passports, we probably wouldn't have seen some sort of increase up to about 200K and 100K, as the case may be at this time.
No, not necessarily. But again, I don't want us to continue to feed private pocket by creating an impression that what we are giving them is very cheap. For example, at the point that this was 35, I have 2 or 3 people, and I've spoken to one person today on this matter. I have 2 or 3 people, when it was just 35,000 naira, that paid as high as 90, 100,000 to get their passport. It means that somehow Nigerians are paying. Let me cite a very funny experience that I had. You know, when you get to clear vehicle, they say there's a way that the officials will make you, they will reduce the money so that you can pay a little, you give them the cash. And you see custom officials all over the places trying to stop vehicles to check whether they pay the full money. So we may actually pretend as if, oh, some of these things are cheap. But in actual fact, we are paying more into the pocket of officials and government officials who already earn salary from government. So we are actually feeding corruption instead of feeding our country. As reluctant as I am to actually applaud the amount in terms of when you the naira and kobo, when you put it together in terms of percentage, I also have had a very bad experience getting my passport. So if one step will lead to complete efficiency in the process of getting the nation's passport, then I am 100% in support of it.
Okay, so 100K for a 5-year, 32-page passport, 200K for a 10-year, 64-page passport. But some Nigerians are saying it's an effort to make it unaffordable, thereby curbing the Japa syndrome, so to speak. Do you think that is, plausible?
It's also a truism that Japaism has become extremely expensive. So for anybody today, and I stand to be corrected, for anybody to actually start the process of Japaism at this moment, I'm not sure that 100,000 naira will be an issue. That is to say the truth. Because we actually need to protect the integrity of our passport. But what they have issues with is not just, you will agree with me that the Ministry of Internal Affairs has been extremely efficient under the leadership of the current minister. What they are angry about is not necessarily about the hike in the price of passport. What people are angry about is that the government comes across to them as a government that does not feel their pain. That's where the issue is. It's not about passport. Today, the band A people who pay ridiculously high fee, when they have electricity, they are not complaining. It is when you pay for inefficiency that people begin to complain. So what the people actually is too little a thing to say that it will discourage Japaism. The last time I checked, the proof of fund to get education in UK, for example, you will need up to 30-40 million naira of proof of fund. Whether it's not your own money, it's a different case entirely. But to say that that's to discourage Japaism, I think is just too elementary. I do not believe that is it. And the anger of people is not it's not about the passport particularly. It's about the fact that everything around them has gone up. People go to the market, they can no longer feed. This is the first time in my life that I will get to the market and I see that people cut yam into two because they cannot afford to buy one tuber of yam for 4,000. This is a complete communal anger, and it's not against the passport. It's actually against the hike that people have experienced across board.
Okay, so this just quickly came to mind when you talked about the fact that inflated prices and money is being generated going to private pockets instead of government. Why is it that the Interior Minister cannot look inward and fix the problem, mop up the system, those who are milking and stealing these monies and making the process difficult for people to get their passports? Why can't you round them up and have them, taken out of the system and make that system affordable for Nigerians, rather than, you are trying to change the system, but then you are putting the price and the strain on Nigerians?
Okay, and I don't want to speak for them. I think one of the conversations they actually had was the fact that, it is to actually to protect the integrity of the passport. And that means to me, apart from the fact that it will block loopholes, that also suggests to me that it's actually a way of ensuring, because they use material, it's also a way of ensuring that the ministry is able to cater to production instead of having to rely on government in form of any kind of subsidy. They have not come out to say that, but if you actually look at a passport and you have done any kind of basic printing before, you will know that of a truth, if we are going to maintain the security of the passport, we may need more. And that is nothing other than the fact that some of these materials have also become very expensive. So it is also about the policy of the government itself. So the government has the economy is a bit complicated as to the capacity of people to do buying. So this is also the effect of it on the passport. And I know, like you said, that it's still very necessary for us to look inward. I have said it repeatedly that the amount of money we spend in fighting corruption in this nation is insane. We can also put in spending and innovation into trying to prevent corruption. And I think the ministry will also look inwards, and people who are going there to patronize them should also be willing to offer information as to officials that are greedy, officials that want to hold their hands at their back to collect money from them. Because we need to, even if we make this price $1,000 today, you will still discover that people will still have problem if the corruption continues the way it is today. So I believe that the ministry will actually quickly do something about it.
We hope so. Thank you so much, Dotun Ojon, for sharing your thoughts with us.